Hey guys, this is Coach Alyssa from Isabella Fitness, and I'm going to take you through a little bit of upper body stretching and mobility today. All right, so today something you may want to have with you for this is a chair or just being close to a wall, something that you can hold on to. We're going to use this for one of our stretches today. All right, so first thing that we're going to start with is going to be on the floor. All right, so you can come right down to a tabletop position here. All right, once we're in this tabletop position, we're gonna start today with the thread the needle stretch. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna keep our hips up and back. My two hands are planted out in front. I'm gonna bring one arm and I'm gonna slide it through underneath the other. And then from here, you may wanna get a little bit wider with your knees. We're gonna press our shoulder into the floor. And this arm can bend a little bit, it can stay straight and go out in front of you, right? But this arm is through pressing that shoulder into the floor. We may be up a little bit higher if we don't feel as mobile, that's fine. Should still feel a nice stretch. But if you're able to get that shoulder all the way down to the floor, you should feel a nice shoulder, upper body stretch, upper back. You can rest your head to the floor. All right, I'm gonna have us stay here for a minute, really get into this stretch. And then we'll move into the other side. Good, come on up. Coming back to this tabletop position. All right, and then from here, we're gonna bring that other arm through. Again, pressing our shoulder to the floor, bringing this arm nice and long through. I might extend that arm at the top. Hips are high in the air. Just enjoying this stretch here, really pressing that shoulder in. Good, and come on up, back to our tabletop position. Next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna get into a wide child's pose. So we're going to bring our knees out, all right, then our regular child's pose would be. All right, we're gonna sit back here and we're gonna bring our arms forward. All right, maybe sit this low, you may be a little higher, but bringing our head through and really sitting deeply into the stretch. We're going to stay here for another 40 seconds. Good, and we can also move side to side here, so leaning our weight into one shoulder at a time. Feeling a stretch on one side at a time. Good, and we're gonna come on up, roll ourselves back up. All right, and then slowly we're gonna bring our feet up and come up to a standing position. All right, so from here, a good way to just mobilize our arms a little bit is going to be doing some arm circles. So you can do them one arm at a time, which I'll show you guys now. You can do two arms at a time. All right, but I'm going to take us through one at a time. So starting with the one arm, we're going to do circles back, small circles here. And then as we go through this, circles are going to get a little bit bigger and bigger. Just mobilizing that shoulder, making sure we're really moving our whole shoulder up and back. And then getting a little bit smaller. And then slowly again, getting to those wider, bigger circles with our arm. Now you may start feeling a little bit of a burn here. This is one that may start to give you a little shoulder burn, but it'll get it nice and warm for a workout and just help to mobilize. All right, and then once we've done that, we're going to switch to the other way. So same arm, now we're going to go the opposite way with our circle. Again, small circles into big circles, just mobilizing our shoulders. You can keep the arms straight out, hands straight forward, or you can hold a fist here. Smaller circles to bigger circles. Good. I know I'm definitely starting to feel the burn from that one. All right, now we're going to switch to the other arm. All right, so starting with those circles back, small circles into larger ones, keeping our arm nice and long. A little bit smaller. Now if you feel a particular spot that really feels good, you can get into these wide circles, which feels really good for me, especially on this back part. Feels like a good stretch. You can stay here a little bit longer before going back to those small circles again. Good. Take a second to shake out that arm. And then we are going to go the opposite way with our circles. Again, same thing applies. Smaller circles getting into bigger circles and then back down. But if you feel a particular spot, maybe in these bigger circles, that feels really good, feels a good stretch, you can stay here. And if you need to take a second because it's really burning, that's fine. And then we'll keep going. Good, and rest. All right, the next one is the one we're gonna need our chair or our wall for. So I have a chair here. If you have a wall, you're just gonna put your hands to the wall. All right, for this one, we're going to bring our hips back from a standing position. All right, our legs can stay nice and locked out. We're gonna bring our hands to the wall, our chair. All right, and then from here, we can back up our feet a little bit because we wanna be nice and long. And we're going to bring our head through. All right, some may be here, some may be through a little bit more. All right, keep those arms nice and long. We don't want to bend them here. We want to keep them nice and long and just feeling a nice stretch through here. Good, we can keep our head here. We can come out and back into the stretch to feel it a little bit deeper. This can really help us with any overhead mobility, really pressing our head through with our arms nice and long. We'll hold this for another 30 seconds. Good, and we can roll up. All right, we don't need our chair or a wall anymore. And we're gonna come down to tabletop, and we're gonna stay down here for the rest of our stretches. So now we're gonna get into some wrist-specific mobility. All right, so first thing that I'm gonna have us do, we're just gonna plant our hands in front of us. All right, so we're gonna plant our hands down just like we would in like our plank position, just flat out to the ground. And then from here, instead of just staying in this stacked position, we're going to lean forward, come up off of our hips, and we're gonna lean forward. Now, some may be more flexible than others, all right? So depending on how flexible we are, we may be able to come a little bit more forward here, or we may be a little bit further back. But instead of staying in this static position here, static stretch, I do want us to come very tiny in and out of these stretches. Arms should be nice and long. We shouldn't have any bent elbows here. Lifting our hips and getting a little bit of pressure into our wrists here. Good. Come on up and do some wrist circles. So I'll have us do this in between each stretch, just mobilizing that wrist, doing circles with our wrists. They can go either way, just moving them around. All right, and then we're gonna come into our next stretch. So this time we're going to place our hands, one I have facing to you, one facing to the chair back here. All right, so they're going out instead of forward this time. All right, so I'm planting my hands here. Now we don't want our wrists to be touching each other. We want to have a little bit of space. And I'm going to turn towards the camera for this one. All right, so we don't want them to be right on top of each other. We want to have a little space in between our wrists. All right, and from here with this one, we're going to slide from side to side. All right, leaning into one wrist at a time, side to side here. Really open up our wrists, make them more mobile. Slowly back and forth. We don't want to go too violently one into the next side, nice and slow. All right, we're going to hold this another 30 seconds. Good, and coming up, We're gonna do those wrist circles again, open it up a little bit. Moving these around. Good, and we're gonna come back down. This time, this one may be a little bit more challenging. All right, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna actually take our hands, we're gonna turn them out. So our forearm is going to be facing out. All right, so we're gonna turn them out to where we had them before and then turn them in even more so that our forearm is facing out. All right, so my forearm is facing you. You may be up a little bit off of a seated position, off of your hips. If you're flexible enough, you may be able to sit back here, really sit into those forearms. All right, but we're working on our flexibility and mobility with our wrists and our forearms right here with this stretch. It is very intense, so again, coming in and out of this stretch. Up and back, releasing a little bit, coming back into a more intense stretch here. Hold another 30 seconds. We'll do some wrist circles and then go into one more mobility stretch here for our wrists. Good. Release and come on up. Definitely feeling a little stretched out in our wrists for sure at this point. And this next one should feel very good because we've been in this position. We're going to turn it over. All right, so now we're going to have our palms facing us. All right, we're going to face our palms to us and we're going to press the back of our hand to the floor. I don't want us to press it too hard. We should be putting a little bit of pressure, but not all of our body weight into it. All right, so you're gonna press those into the floor, trying to keep these as straight as possible. So if we have to be right over that rest, we can. Or again, we can sit back here and feel a little bit more of an intense stretch. Again, you can be in and out of this stretch. Should not be feeling pain here, just a stretch in that wrist. If we are feeling any pain, we want to bring some of that pressure off of our wrist, very lightly putting some pressure down into our wrists for this stretch. Right, hold it here a little bit longer. Good, come on up. Let's do some wrist circles here. Maybe a little bit of stretching one at a time. Just mobilizing them. Feeling that openness in our wrist from all these stretches. All right, working into the other one a little bit, massaging it here in the wrist. All right, awesome job, guys. This has been some upper body mobility. I will see you in the next one.